Let's learn about fruits. I found this sketch pad up on my shelf that we can draw on. I found some interesting drawings on it already. I think this was used for a party game that had to do with botany. I don't know what this is, but as I turn the pages, this looks like vascular tissue, transpiration, xylem and phloem. This, I'm not sure what this is, but I'm going to guess it's photosynthesis. I have no idea. Nutrient cycling, perhaps? Odd drawing. This one, I'm not sure how to hold it or what it is. This one, though, I'm absolutely sure. This is Pilobolus. This is a fungus that's called the hat-tossing fungus. It grows on dung, hence the wavy lines, and it has these sporangia that get hurled like a hat being tossed, a shotgun fungus, a very dramatic and fun fungus. This is, it looks like an evergreen, a spruce of some sort. I'm not sure what this is. It looks like it's an apple. Maybe it demonstrates a poem. This one I can tell is my entry in this game, whatever it was, whenever it was. The arrow is pointing to the protonema, an early stage in the life cycle of mosses. But the purpose of today's class and a renewed use of this pad of paper is to learn about fruits. You'll recall that a fruit is defined as a ripened ovary containing seeds. And this definition, it's very, every word is carefully chosen. Meaning singular, ripened ovary, containing seeds. The seeds part could be in parentheses because a fruit can contain one seed. But the definition is very carefully tailored, and we'll look at different types of fruits. Seeds, though, what the heck is a seed? A seed is basically, it's basically a baby plant with some food and a coat. I like to think of a seed as being like the mother plant sends her child off, say, to school, and makes sure that the child has lunch and a coat. A seed is basically an embryo sporophyte, in other words, a baby plant, plus some nutritive tissue, food, and covered in a coat. And what we're going to do is look at a fruit and look at the seed within that fruit and see all of the parts that fit these definitions. And what we're going to end up with is the peanut of science. And I went to the grocery store yesterday and got these peanuts. I hope no one's allergic. And what I'm going to do is pass out these peanuts. And here we go. Can you, Ben, can you pass out these peanuts? And Callie, here's some for you. And what we're going to do with these peanuts is crack them open. And so remember, a fruit is a ripened ovary containing seeds. So when we crack a peanut, what is it that we are cracking open? Yes. Is it the ovary? Yes, you're right. It's the ovary. And so what we can do is remove the seeds from the ovary, and those are seeds inside. And if you look carefully, mine sort of got pulverized, but if you look carefully at each one and treat it a little more gingerly, they're covered with a little papery covering. And what part of the seed do you think that is? Yes. Is it the seed coat? Yes, it's the seed coat. And so then what we want to do is very carefully separate the two halves of the peanut. And notice that they're different. And what I want to do is get the different lens on the camera so we can look at this close up. Put this macro lens on. So let's take a close look at the peanut fruit. Here's a little setup I have with a nice light. And what I'd like to direct your attention to is this array. So I'll put things in the center of the field. This, of course, is half of the ovary that's been split open. Here's the other half of the ovary with a seed. A fruit is a ripened ovary containing seeds. The seed has three parts. Let's start with the seed coat. which is the papery covering on the outside of the peanut. And then let's take a close look at these two halves of the peanut. One of them is kind of featureless. And the other one, right here, has what my mother, when I was a kid, used to point out and say, look at the cowboy. And I'd say, Mom, this is the 50s, not the 60s. Psychedelic drugs haven't become a thing yet. And when they do, you're going to be really, really upset that some of my friends, not me of course, use them. No, what she was pointing out was the whimsical resemblance of this to a cowboy. It's kind of up this is head, and the critical part is the bandana. See the cowboy's wearing a bandana? And if you look really carefully at what that is, remember when we said that plants have embryos that resemble miniature adults? This is actually a little plant. You can see that. The top, which is actually the bottom, is the root tip. And here at the bottom, which is actually the top, is what you can see are actually little leaves. There's a whole embryo there. Roots, shoots, and leaves. That's the punchline to a joke. I just don't know what the joke is yet. And you can see that this is actually a little plant with all the parts ready to go. So most of what the peanut is the cotyledons, the stored food that gives this plant a jump start. And we're going to go out in the garden and look at some sprouting seeds and see how the cotyledons are giving the plants a little jump start. So, about cotyledons. You might have noticed from gardening that you get really excited when seeds sprout. And what you often see is the first leaves don't look like the leaves that come later. They're usually often large, kind of oval-shaped, opposite each other, and don't look much like the leaves that come later. These leaves are actually, they're called cotyledons. In fact, this plant is a dicotyledon, which is because it has two of them. And what they do is they're fleshy and they have stored food, and they enable the plant to sprout right away and provide nutrition to the plant before these true leaves are able to expand and do photosynthesis. And so the nutritive tissue in many seeds, not all seeds, many seeds, is composed of seed leaves called cotyledons. And I'll take some pictures of some sprouting seeds out in the garden to show you some cotyledons. So here we are out in the garden, and what I see is some seeds that have sprouted, and particularly see these big broad leaves are cotyledons, and they were part of the seed. Coming off between them, on top of them, is the shoot, which has the true leaves that will become the leaves of the plant later on. Here's another example. You can see the cotyledons at the base, and then this large true leaf here. Cotyledons. Cotyledons. Cotyledons and a true leaf. Cotyledons are sometimes called seed leaves. We bought this fancy raised bed. Here are these really bizarrely shaped cotyledons of morning glory. They're kind of like shaped like hearts, or like the letter H. It helps you recognize that these are morning glory sprouts and not, say, some weed.